see single men getting so ragged on and so dogpiled in today's society, over the internet, even just in friend circles, whatever it may be, by guys being shamed for not having a girlfriend, when in reality, people, I'll tell you something straight up. Most of the people that I see in relationships are miserable. I've seen people literally have their lives destroyed over a girlfriend or a wife. I've even looked up data on this. A heck of a lot of men in jail right now are there because of things having to do with women. Whether it's them just snapping, whatever it might be. Again, I've heard so many horror stories. So people that are pushing this idea that you should just settle and take what you get, I mean, that is completely ridiculous. That's, again, how you're going to get into this kind of mess. So I don't think it's right to shame single men, people that have made that decision. Perhaps down the line, they'll look into relationships, they'll look into marriage, whether it's a time where they're more sure of themselves, whether it's a time where they're more financially secure, whether it's a time they just feel like they're ready. But the notion that you have to be with a female, you have to be in a relationship, that's not a masculine trait. That kind of monkey branching, whatever you want to call it, constantly needing companionship and that kind of stuff, that's not masculine, guys. I'll tell you straight up. I don't think that's masculine behavior at all. And I've touched a little bit on the look maxing stuff in previous videos, which I think, again, it's good. Men should be presentable. Men should have a good fragrance on. Men should, whatever you want to call it, be in the gym and that kind of stuff. But these guys go way too far about it. I mean, let's not forget, your whole life and daily routine should not be based around female attention. That's what I think a lot of the time these guys get wrong. Yes, it's good to look your best, feel your best, but number one, it's not good to shame other men who don't want to play part in that game. Number two, you should have hobbies. You should have purpose. You shouldn't just care about some kind of image and what everyone else thinks. And again, this is what I'm going to get to too, guys. The big misunderstanding with this is a lot of these guys say, oh, well, these are just guys that are not attractive. These are just guys that are these incel guys and this kind of stuff. There are plenty of handsome men that are choosing not to date right now or are single. Again, it's not because they are unattractive or can't get women. Perhaps there are some men that there are things that are just genetically out of their control, like height and whatever you want to call it. But again, I think that's blown out of proportion as well. There's always things that people can do to better themselves. Again, I'm a big proponent in the gym, although I don't always go to the gym. I find a way to exercise, whether it's with I have a personal set of weights. I have friends that have little private gyms. Even just calisthenics, I think the number one thing, unless someone's physically not able to do it, if they have some kind of ailment or disability, but the number one thing that every man should do is building a strong, lean body. I mean, that to me is it's really a must in my opinion. But my point being is that there's things that people can do to improve themselves. But at the other hand, with how ridiculous things have gotten, number one, with this grass is greener mentality, I mean, there's women I've seen with guys who are what you'd call this Chad guy, perfect hairline, perfect jawline, whatever you want to call it. And they still find reasons to cheat on them, to go with someone else. Because people have been so spoiled, number one, with the social media. I mean, just the swipe of a finger. You have the coveting, which it talks about this in the Bible. And it's quite frankly amazing, which I'm respectful of anyone's beliefs, because I have personal friends that are a variety of different beliefs and religions and stuff like that. But something I find very, very interesting is that a lot of the stuff that's talked about in the Bible is very relevant nowadays. Like I said, the one that comes to example is talking about coveting. People are so caught up with comparing themselves and competing with, I'm not even going to say other people, because it's not even a real image. It's not even a real thing. It is like a social media kind of fantasy. It is delusion. It is a fantasy world. It's not real life. It's only being seen during the highlights, in the limelights. Like, even I have friends who they'll do kind of martial arts, right? And I've seen this, and I've quite frankly said stuff to them about this, but they'll record their rounds or whatever at the gym, and they'll post when they're looking good, where they're getting the guy, whether it's taking him down, getting him in a bad position. I'm like, dude, you don't want to talk about the fact that half the round you had a hard time and were on your back. You only want to show yourself when it's the highlights, when it's looking good. And again, guys, that's my point, is this whole social media comparison is that it's just pure nonsense. And unfortunately now, a lot of women have, to the swipe of their fingertips, the whole world, where they are seeing these kind of comparisons. They're seeing, well, this guy is 4 inches taller and he has such and such and he makes this much, and whatever it might be. I find it very destructive. So again, a lot of men have to understand that it's become harder nowadays to even engage in these kind of things, to even approach women, to engage in this kind of market, which again, people can talk about level up and life is hard and stuff like that. But guys, the reality is it should not be this hard. And again, when people have so many other responsibilities and things they need to attend to, they don't have time to base their entire day and routine around female attention. That's just my point with the look maxing stuff. Like, for example, even today I was looking at, just around prior to recording this video, the price of gold right now. It's like it's like 5,600 almost an ounce. I mean, these kind of indicators where people are under a lot of stress, things like cost of living, people are under a lot of stress with whether it's just daily stressors, things that if God forbid something happens with a family member, things that even are out of their control. A lot of men I know who are into the kind of crazy look maxing stuff and basing their entire days around female attention and dating and stuff like that, I'll be real, they don't really have much of a life at all. They don't really have any hobbies. They don't really do anything. They base their day around female attention. And even in a lot of those cases, they're single. They're not in relationships, and they're spending so much time invested in that, which that's a different discussion in itself. I mean, I don't think chasing is a good idea. Of course, appearing as desperate is a detriment. But my point being, guys, is I get so tired of seeing single men just being absolutely dogpiled, just being absolutely slandered. And again, people that want to engage in these kind of dialogues being labeled all these things like incel and this kind of stuff. And what really makes it worse is you see it from other men hating on other men, which is just pathetic. This just goes to show the emasculation of a lot of men nowadays. I've even done research into this, talked to people who are in this kind of field, where you have T-scores, guys in their 20s and 30s in the 200s, 300s. That should tell you there's a problem, and it shows with this kind of emasculated kind of behavior, the rampant kind of insecurity and stuff like that. It's something that really is clear as day. People talk often about the toxic behavior of some of these women on dating apps shaming men, but I see a heck of a lot of men shaming other men. And that's got to stop. I mean, that's extremely insecure. And again, guys, the funny thing too is what I find ironic, talking about settling. A lot of these guys that say this stuff of, oh, these guys are incel, stuff like that, they're getting with these like twos on dating apps, settling with these girls on dating apps, which you already know they're not happy. If they are in a relationship, they're not happy. A lot of the time they're getting played or they're being used as an emotional sponge. That's just been my observation. I'm not saying it's like that in every case. But who are they to shame other men who don't want to play part in that game? I'd much more respect the guy who works on themselves, builds their body physically, gets to a point where they're financially more independent, where they were able to perhaps own a home, whatever it might be. Work on themselves, learning a new language, versus spending their whole day around female attention, scrolling through dating apps, going to places where, oh, girls are going to be there, this kind of stuff. Really is crazy if you think about it. I think, quite frankly, it's just a big distraction. A lot of those men that need to do that are insecure. If things happen organically, if things happen naturally, great. I think that if you are in this, especially in this climate, if you are blessed, if you are lucky enough to get a woman who would be considered a good woman, that is not going to be using you and playing you, which again, I'll be blunt up front with this. Most of the cases I've seen, people that are in the relationships and stuff like that are miserable. Even if they don't want to say it, it's clear as day. So if you're lucky enough to find one of those women, then great. I'm all for it. I am someone who, looking at it from a traditional standpoint, I'm a firm believer in the most wonderful thing that can happen is bringing a child into this world and raising that child with guidance, especially as a father, so they don't make the same mistakes you did and whatever it might be, with proper leadership. But that's going to require good men and good women coming together and having those kids in the first place. And if you're going to tell men, oh, well, you're single, you don't have a girlfriend, this kind of stuff, and try to make them desperate and settle with what they can get, I mean, that's just completely ridiculous. Like, I know someone who, unfortunately, and he's a little bit younger than me, I think he's 27, and he had got with a girl who he met at his work. And it's funny because he even bragged to one of my friends of like, oh, well, at least I get girls and this and that. Come to find out, that girl was a single mom who was around a decade older than him, had an 8-year-old son. She was living in the apartment with him. He was the one paying for the apartment up front. He had a full-time job at the time, and got her pregnant. She had the kid and then kicked him out of his own house, by the way, and now is going after him for child support. So it's, you guys see what I'm saying? All that bragging, all that talking, all that boasting, and look where he is. He was bragging about getting girls and how his friends don't get girls and at least I get women. Guys, that's not getting women. That's getting played. That's the truth. Again, this has just been my assumption from people that I'm not going to say people that are even just in relationships, but people who spew this kind of rhetoric. They're the people who are the ones getting played. They're the people who are the ones who are insecure. They're the ones who are really leading examples for the people that are single as to why they want to be single, why they want to be. I'm not even saying or oppose the idea of a relationship, because most people that are single, they're not opposed to the idea of love or marriage down the line, a relationship, although some might be. Most of them are just like, look, I'm not going to settle for a woman who's objectively not attractive and out of shape, especially when I've gone to the gym and taken care of myself physically. I'm not going to settle for a single mom. I'm not going to settle for a woman who's a decade older than me. I'm not going to settle for a woman who's toxic and has all these red flags. Guys, that's just preserving your own peace of mind. That's just having self-respect. That's not being an incel. It's not being able to get women. It's just completely ridiculous. It's gone too far, and I just see the shaming of single men as nothing more than ways of people to let out their own insecurity and personal frustrations on other people. A lot of these guys getting played, a lot of these guys getting duped, a lot of these guys getting cheated on. And it's terrible. Look, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Even the friend of mine that I gave you the example of, who got their girl pregnant, who's going after him for child support. Even though he was acting like a goofball, I would not wish that on anyone. I would not even wish that on my enemy. I mean, that is terrible to have to go through. But this is why you have to have such a good keen eye and such good discernment, and you have to be careful in not only who you date, but who you bring in your circle, who you allow in your life. You know, because it's your own sanctity, it's your own peace of mind, it's your own well-being. We only have one shot on this life on earth, and we don't want to be under the stress, and we don't want to be dealing with the kind of things that so many men are and have dealt with. I've touched on this in previous videos, but I have many friends right now who are battling custody battles, divorce, and it's taken a mental toll on them. It's taken a physical toll on them. You can see visually. You can tell the tone of their voice. You can tell with their demeanor. You can tell with the lack of drive and optimism that they have. And it's heartbreaking. Because a lot of them are good men. They just unfortunately got duped by women who are toxic. That's the truth, guys. But hope this kind of maybe fixes some of the understandings, because I just see way too much of this. I see way too much of needing to live up to this image of having to have a girlfriend, having to be this, having to be that. So many people want to be this kind of online social media character. That even goes for women as well. Thinking the grass is greener on the other side, because I see that too. I've seen women with guys that are what you'd call high value. And in many cases, that man is leagues above them, whether it's looks, whether it's morality, whatever you want to call it. And I see a lot of the times, I've seen a lot of cases where the women end up leaving the guy, cheating on the guy, or starting problems. Just been my observation, guys. So what I would just say, the biggest takeaway is keep doing what you're doing. Just have your guard up and don't lose focus on your mission and purpose. Don't lose interest in your hobbies, and don't ever let someone like that make you feel insecure or out of place or covet for something like that. I would never be, number one, I would never be jealous or comparing myself to other people to begin with. That whole competition thing is just very bizarre and talks this kind of fake alpha male behavior. Again, I think that there's healthy competition. I think that there's ways that we can push, drive, and uplift each other through competition. But this kind of jealousy and envy, spit it out. That's all I'd say. Anyway, guys, appreciate you viewing the video. Hope you guys have a good one. Thank you.